is a surprise to absolutely no one. But Taco Tits knows the corruption and the crimes that he has committed in the White House. So he goes to his good buddy, Greg Abbott of Texas, to gerrymander and redistrict to get out Democratic seats in favor of Republican seats. So Jesse Waters, he's all for this, and he gets schooled on his own show. And the humiliation that Jesse Waters felt makes me so happy.
Political guy, do you think it's smart for all the headlines to come out and say Democrats ran away from the job?
Well, let's take a step back from that for a second. Do you think it's a good headline for all the headlines to say that Republicans are so worried about losing the midterms they decided to rig the maps
I haven't seen those headlines.
They're supposed to do it?
I haven't seen those headlines, and I do know that both sides redistrict, and it's not the end of the world. But to run away from work, I mean, most Americans, they look at that and they're like, they don't like that. You get that, right?
Well, most Americans don't like politicians drawing up their own maps. They don't like the fact that Republicans are scared they're going to lose the midterms, so they're trying to rig the game like they always do. Look, Texas Republicans could be right now trying to do something to help the American people, help the people of Texas with floods. They're not doing that right now. The Republicans in Congress, they're on recess right now. They're not doing anything to help people.
Well, they're always on recess.
Donald Trump is playing golf.
Mike, you and I agree.
Okay, how great is that? How great is that? Truth to Jesse Waters. He didn't know what to do with truth. Well, I haven't seen those headlines. Jesse, you're supposed to be a news person. Where the fuck have you been?
Well, he's not a news person. He's a propagandist.
True.
And spends an inordinate amount of time trying to prove that he is an alpha male. I've never seen anything quite like it. But what's important is Jesse Waters said people running away from work. And when I think about people running away from work, two things come to mind. Number one, little Moses Mike Johnson packed his toys up and ran away from Washington, D.C. And none of the Congress is in session right now. They're not working for the American people because they're covering up for Taco Tits' involvement with a pedophile, number one. Number two, Taco Tits ran away from work at the end of his first term. He should have participated in the peaceful transfer of power, but instead he colluded with the MyPillow guy in the Oval Office for days on end, spewing bullshit, and then he packed his toys up and left the White House in disgrace after he did an insurrection. So nobody is a bigger pussy, and nobody is a bigger pack their toys up and run away than the Republicans are. What the Democrats just did in Texas is they're fighting for their constituents. And I have had interior design projects a lot in Dallas. And when you're in the inner city of Dallas during a campaign year and you're driving through these neighborhoods, it's all blue. It is all blue. So they want to disenfranchise the economic nucleus of Texas, Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, El Paso. They want to neuter those voters who bring in the most tax revenue, who employ the most Texas citizens. So nobody is running away from voters like MAGA is.
They do run away from voters because they're so profoundly unpopular in their policies. And let's hear from a Texas congressperson about them leaving, because I thought they did a great job explaining it.
That Republicans in the state, Republicans out of the state, look at what you guys are doing and thinking you're running away from the fight. You're running away from your jobs by not being in Austin today.
Yeah, no. Abandoning your job is going to Cancun in the middle of a deadly freeze, right? Abandoning your job is cutting health care when people need access. Abandoning your job is cutting public education when we already have one of the worst education systems in the nation. What we are doing is the fundamental protection by our founding fathers in the Texas Constitution. When Donald Trump called Georgia Republicans and said, I just need you to find me 11,000 votes, they said, no, sir, that's a step too far. But when he called Texas Republicans and said, I need you to steal me 5 seats, they said, does July work for you? Well, it doesn't work for us as Texas Democrats.
God, I love her.
Isn't she great?
Fabulous. I mean, that is so good. She just very, very plainly articulated what wussies MAGA men are, and that about does July work for you, and how compromised the leadership in Texas is. And I just have to throw this out there. I have to remind everybody of 2 things about Texas leadership. Number one, Abbott, a tree fell on him and he became in a wheelchair, unable to walk, and he was able to sue and got millions of dollars in damages. And then he fought against other victims of accidents like these, able to take to court to sue. Number two, Paxton. Paxton is a biblical guy,
Right.
whose wife is divorcing him, her words, not mine, for biblical reasons, because he's a cheater, because he cheats on his wife, probably with somebody in the church or something. I don't know who it is, nor do I care. But these are the people that sit around and bully other people. Abbott and Paxton want to be knee deep in people's OBGYN appointments. They want to be right up in where gay people are having consensual sex. It's weird as shit because they're weird. These are weirdos that want to consolidate power.
Well, and they're also very, very cruel, and they have weaponized their Christianity against a very dumbed down population, as we know is in Texas.
All right, listener, I want to do not back out of this video because it's really important that you support us by supporting our advertisers. And this advertiser is an absolute mint. Of course, I'm talking about Mint Mobile because I know all of you are getting tired of getting burned by your old wireless bill while you're planning beach trips, barbecues, 3-day weekends, and in this economy. That's why Pumps and I have made the switch to Mint Mobile. You can say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Pumps and I have made this switch, and you should too. This product is fantastic. It's what we use, and the quality of Mint Mobile's wireless is perfection. Listener, this year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer and your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/news. That's mintmobile.com/news. Upfront payment of $45 required. That's equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
We have talked on this podcast a lot about how Benjamin Netanyahu is leading Donald Trump down his path and how much support the government of Israel has despite committing war crimes. And Greg Abbott, who is such a hypocrite, and we've talked about Ted Cruz, like the day of the Texas floods, he's saying we need $250 million for Israel. I'm just like, go to Cancun and shut the fuck up. But here, I saw this and I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. Here is Greg Abbott with Israel flags everywhere. I stand with Israel. Look at the number of Israeli flags and support for Israel. And then just way over here in the corner is the American flag. So going back to this redistricting, isn't it? I don't think Donald Trump is that smart. I think he knows that he's going to probably be impeached and arrested when he leaves the White House, either at the end of his term or after the impeachment. But I wonder, with the right-wing Netanyahu, is he the one pushing all this redistricting because he knows that people that are smart look at him and say these are crimes? Do you see that, or do you just think they're so in bed with the special interests?
Their interests are aligned. Benjamin Netanyahu has stayed in power to avoid prosecution. Trump wants to stay in power to avoid accountability and prosecution. So their interests are very much aligned. But there is a nuance to this that's important to point out. The Ted Cruzes, the Greg Abbotts, the Ken Paxtons, these guys are right-wing evangelical Christians, and they are rapture preppers, and they have been manipulated by the Israelis to say, hey, it's in the Bible. We've got to be there in order for Jesus to return. In the same way that when Putin wants to come and indoctrinate Americans to create civil and social unrest, they're able to enter through the right wing, through prayer breakfast. So yet again and again and again, these 77 million Americans that fall prey to propaganda MAGA and for voting for billionaires, for voting for Israel first, for voting for Putin first, and believing that, a lot of them would say, I'd rather be a Russian than be a Democrat. They have been propagandized. And so when you see all of these autocrats, these dictators, they all have the same goal. The problem, Pumps, is out of all the dictators, we have the dumbest one.
Right.
We have the dumbest one. I don't know if that behooves us or what, but I know that it makes us fall especially prey to dictators like Netanyahu. And these evangelical Christians are, it's just so easy for Putin, for Netanyahu to put a leash around their neck and just walk them all over the place.
Well, it certainly appears that way. And one thing I wanted to point out, you always say this, and I so wholeheartedly agree, that MAGA and the triple Trumpers and the evangelicals, they hate pedophilia unless it's by a Republican, unless it was by their pastor at church. And so you see that same kind of dissonance with the Republicans in Texas, because they're saying, this is what Greg Abbott said regarding in 2023, it's an ugly day for democracy when a sitting U.S. president running for re-election uses the Department of Justice to indict and arrest his leading opponent. Okay, that's what he says when Biden does it. But look what he says now. August 4th, 2025, Abbott orders arrest of Democrats that fled Texas. So it's the ability to, when we do it, it's pretty. When they do it, it's bad. He's also been calling out to the FBI to send agents into other states to arrest these people.
This reminds me of exactly what Mitch McConnell did with the Supreme Court seats. He wouldn't fill the seat when the death occurred under Obama's presidency because he said that it was too close to an election. And then when RBG died, he immediately said, well, we're going to fill the seat. And he said his open hypocrisy, everybody chuckled, everybody laughed, because at the end of the day, everybody knows the most manipulatable Americans are these right-wingers. Mitch McConnell knows it. Abbott knows it. Trump knows it. Peter Thiel knows it. Elon Musk knows it. Jeff Bezos knows it. Vladimir Putin knows it. Benjamin Netanyahu knows it. That's why they're attacking liberal women. That's why they attack Democrats. That's why they throw all of this other stuff out in the air, because they know that they have to control the narrative with the Rubes, because they are a liability for American democracy, because they just believe all of this stuff so easily because their upbringing taught them to be fearful of critical thinking. It's painful for them to critically think. So they take their orders from the evil dipshits of the world. All right, please buy our book. It is called Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. It's a great summer read, and we still have a month or two left of summer. Of course, with climate change, it could be 3 months. The link is below in the show notes. We're almost to 1 million subs, you guys. Pumps and I really want that trophy. Subscribe, and we'll see you all later.